Alright, let's cut to the chase, shall we? I don't like making these kind of videos any more than I imagine you like watching them, but I figure a video will draw a few more eyes than a community post, so I'll try to keep this concise. Starting with... the long-fabled Battle Network 1 video is done. Recorded, edited, rendered, fully previewed, and scheduled for the day after this update goes live in its near 50-minute glory. It's a video that I'm very proud of, even if there are portions that may not have come out as cleanly as I'd have liked. But hey, I at least feel like as if I've learned a lot from the experience and the many playthroughs I ended up doing in preparation. You all have waited far too long for this after I teased it at the end of my Legacy Collection review, and I sincerely hope that it was worth the wait in your eyes. Thank you. I've been in the process of the first, and hopefully last, major move of my life since about September of 2023, after my previous house came apart at just the right seams to convince everyone else occupying it to get the fuck out and live literally anywhere else. But through a deadly combination of me being the only occupant that can be loosely considered able-bodied, and an unwillingness to throw shit out and expedite the process, said moving nightmare has been dragged out all the way to present day, where I am still making attempts to chip away at what's left in the old residence when I have other business orbiting it. So with that project constantly hanging over my head like a guillotine, the usual and just frequent enough family drama, general housekeeping, and even getting deathly ill right around election day, I have found it exceptionally difficult to maintain consistent motivation that I can pour into content creation. I occasionally have short but strong bursts of it, but when your main form of content is decently edited, semi-competently written long-form videos, you can imagine that short bursts only get me so far. Not helping matters any is that my attention span tends to send me pacing around my workspace reciting scripts in progress like a man possessed when I hit a wall, but I can't do anything about that because I'm the only one convinced there's a problem with me, and American healthcare, or lack thereof in my case, sucks shit. Been having a real fun time of it, if I haven't made that abundantly clear. It's not as if I've been doing nothing this entire time, just that the progress I've made has been nowhere near where I wanted it to be. Which naturally leads us to two questions: where do I stand now, and what comes next? 2024 was a very eventful year for me in my personal life, moving woes notwithstanding, with the most important development by far being my attempts at pulling myself out of the recluse tendencies I had already developed, but the advent of COVID only further encouraged. I've been visiting with and hosting friends more openly, I've been playing in remote card game tournaments and discords with people I've never met before, and despite my deep-seated fear of inevitable car trouble, I've even been making attempts to take the now near hour-and-a-half drive to my old LGS to play in proper local events and see my old playgroup in person. All things I convinced myself in one way or another I simply had to give up on. In a way, this is arguably the most positive and optimistic I've felt in the past 2, hell, maybe even 3 years. I feel like I'm slowly moving on, even if it's taken me a lot longer to do so. So enough about the past, let's talk about the future. This update and the Battle Network 1 video will be the last videos I produce for the channel on my current PC. It has served me well enough anyway, but this ancient consolation prize from my tech school days was never really equipped for the kind of content creation I wanted to do. I finally bit the savings bullet and invested in a real content machine that frankly kicks the shit out of my current build, so I'll look forward to opening a project in DaVinci Resolve without fearing for my life and crossing every appendage imaginable when I hit export. Once the new PC is set up and my prerequisite programs are re-established, I'll be immediately jumping into Battle Network 2 to gather footage and dump my thoughts onto the page. BN2 will be the next major review, retrospective thought piece thing I produce. That being said, in the interest of affording myself something of a palate cleanser after staring at BN1 in my editing preview for eons across 4+ playthroughs, I do have one smaller video I intend to make in between BN1 and 2. If you've been following me on socials like Twitter and now exclusively Blue Sky, you'll know that a little-known developer by the name of Nihon Falcom has thoroughly sunken its fangs into me ever since I finished playing The Legend of Heroes: Trails from Zero at the start of the year. The output of this company is, frankly, criminally underrated, and while I fully intend to dedicate myself to at least getting the initial Battle Network trilogy finished before taking the retrospective approach with a different, much meatier series, I do want to share my broader adoration for Falcom and their games sooner rather than later. Preferably before Sky the First gets a release date. So while BN2 will be my next major review, the Falcom story time and spotlight will find itself sandwiched between the Blue Boys' first two adventures and an exercise in self-indulgence. This will take the place of my usual year in review style of video for 2024, mainly because out of the 11 games that I've beaten this year, 9 of them were Falcom games. So at that point I may as well just save Astrobot and Shadow Generations for their own videos in the far-flung future. And that rounds out my immediate YouTube plans that I'm willing to speak on with any level of confidence. Which leads us to our final topic. So streaming is something I've more or less always wanted to do alongside YouTube since the channel's creation, but as you can probably imagine, my previous residence and piss-poor PC made that avenue little more than a pipe dream until now. The fact of the matter is that scripted long-form videos take a decent amount of time to produce, and evidently even longer if you're me. So the prospect of even semi-frequently shooting the shit with fans and friends in that downtime while playing games I was gonna play offline anyway seemed like a decent compromise. It gives me the chance to cover and talk about newer releases in a timely manner that doesn't require me to put together a script at breakneck speeds out of obligation, and believe me when I say that I already have several games lined up to jump into blind going into the new year. Just scratching the surface, I still have at least 6 Falcom games on the docket, not counting those trapped on PC. Xenoblade X and Monster Hunter Wilds are going to fucking smother me in shit to do. And we don't even know what the Switch 2's launch lineup is gonna look like yet. It has me excited, but also deeply terrified for my bank account. I also plan to try and toss my TCG obsession into the pot for variety's sake, since it's not something I can justify jamming into the YouTube side of things. I've poked my head in and out of the Cardfight Vanguard creator space just enough to not want to completely leave it behind, but scripting content and cleaning up card scans for a game that drops sets every month in addition to the content I already make on a separate channel is just way too much for me to handle. So expect the occasional remote fight Zatsudan adjacent stream with friends in addition to the usual gaming. I might consider opening that up to viewer fights in a dedicated Discord at some point, but I will make no promises on that front as I'm very paranoid about curating the kind of people I have on with me. And with that, I've gotten everything off my chest that I wanted to say. Again, thank you so much for your patience, and I'm sorry to have kept you waiting. The Battle Network 1 video will go live at 6 PM EST the day after this update goes live, and both my Blue Sky and Twitch can be found in this video's description if you want to keep up with me elsewhere as well. Thank you for watching, and have a good one.